LSU has 5 tight ends after they had none.
Yep.
But I would think that maybe it's the biggest news that Trey has quit basketball or walked away from the basketball team and was able to join LSU football at this early.
Right.
As opposed because you brought in what? Bauer Sharp.
Yep. Donovan Green. J.D. LaFleur, the freshman.
J.D. LaFleur, the freshman. Bordelon, who spent time as a pseudo tight end.
A guard, tackle, tight end.
Yeah, got multiple jerseys.
Right.
All for the wall. And now you have Trey Green that you would think if LSU, like that was a real conversation that we had to have.
Yes.
About Trey Green playing basketball, and if LSU was, able to make a run at some point, like they're going to the tournament, like they're going to the SEC tournament right now.
Right.
He wouldn't be available, but instead it flips the script. There aren't really any viable future for LSU basketball at the moment.
No.
So he leaves the team, 2 weeks in?
Yeah, no, I mean, he was doing both because, he never fully, left football. He was still
I understand that, but if they were good, I don't want to say it that way, but if they were good,
it would have been a different dynamic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so now instead he's able to focus on football and be able to be there for the first practices of the spring.
Yes.
And so that's where I think that it gets interesting because you have Alex Atkins coming in as a new coach.
Tight end coach
/ run game coordinator / maybe pseudo offensive mind.
Right.
And to have him be to be able to have Trey Green there for the beginning of all of it, I think is more important than him playing basketball, just in my mind, as to where his future is and for LSU football. But I think it's going to be a great dynamic to see him working with Donovan Green, Bauer Sharp, and now Trey Green, because I don't know where he sticks. Because you look at all the pieces that LSU has at the skill positions, where you talk about all of the wide receivers that LSU has,
right?
All of you can even throw Harlan Berry into that mix. I don't know where he fits in terms of just a straight up tight end,
right?
Because that's not he did it during the bowl game and it was admirable, but that's not really what he's. I don't think that's his job when it comes to either SEC football or NFL football. He's not going to be a end blocking player.
Right.
He's more of a Jimmy Graham, I think is the best way to view him. But you already go through the wide receivers with me.
Yeah, I mean, you go
Nick Anderson.
To me, the three, you have Nick Anderson, Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson.
And then
you go Barry and Brown,
Jelani
Watkins, Xavier Thomas, Kyle Parker, Kylan Billiot, Manchild.
Kyle Parker.
Yep. It's a stacked room.
So that's where I think it's there's going to be, because I think he's too good to be just a package guy.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. He's not even too good. He's too easy to lock in on. As a defense, if he's on the field, a lot of eyes are going to go to number 14. Talking about guys on the field and in the booth, they're going to be well, they've got Trey Dez on the field. We need to make sure, to have an eye on him at all times. So I do agree with you because it will be interesting to see where he fits in. Because to me, the goal right now is to turn him into more of a straight up tight end. That's what they want to do. I feel like when you look at what they did in the bowl game, obviously having him out at football, no longer doing basketball, they want him to bulk up and to get bigger and to be a better blocker. So it feels like they want him to be a straight up tight end because they want him on the field every single time. But I do believe you're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets. And John Quav in the chat even says 3 tight end sets. I won't be surprised. But I think the reason you'll see 2 tight end sets is so you can have Trey Dez on the field, and then you can still get some inline blocking from a guy like Donovan Green. What's going through your brain over there?
3 tight end sets?
Would you put it past Brian Kelly to make it happen?
I mean, we talked about that. Who left the team? Who went to the portal?
From Mac Markway?
And?
What's his face?
Pimpton.
Yep, Kamari Pimpton.
That was the fodder of LSU last year. Discount Mac Markway, who tried to, God forbid, that poor guy, his knees are in shambles.
Yes.
Because he tore his ACL again whenever he got to Nebraska a day in, which sucks because he was the number 1 tight end in the country for a long-standing time in high school. But whenever it was Kamari and Pimpton and Trey Green and
Mac
Mason
Markway.
Taylor.
Yeah, Mason Taylor.
Like, there's like, oh, LSU's going to go like multiple tight end sets. Like, they didn't do it. And then you see Pimpton hit the portal. That's not like really doesn't seem like to be a foundational thing that LSU's trying to do. And that was when a time when they couldn't run the football.
Right.
And so obviously they didn't do it, and they didn't go to a did you ever see Trey Green and Kamarian Pimpton on the field at the same time? I didn't.
No, not those two at the same time.
Right, and that was like, and this is a team that struggled in the red zone for the majority of the year, and you couldn't get those two on the field at the same time. So no, I don't think so. So I am more interested to see how they fit in one of them. Like Trey Green has to be on the field, it feels like, because he doesn't want to get lost in the shuffle, which is why I think it's paramount that he got here from basketball,
right,
to be able to find a spot. Because you brought in Bauer Sharp, like you brought in Donovan Green, so now you have de facto 3 tight ends, and then you brought in 3 other guys to play wide receiver. He has a spot on the team. I just wonder how they work him in with a new tight ends coach and what you want to do offensively. That there obviously should be like an emphasis on being able to run the football now.
Yes. So if you were to do your starting 11 on offense, what would your lineup look like? Obviously, there are a couple guys that are set in stone with a Nussmeier and a Caden Durham at running back. What's your offensive line look like, the tight end room, and then your 3 receivers?
I mean, I think let's go through the ones that we know for sure, right?
Yep.
Nussmeier?
Yep.
I feel like we can check that box as a starter.
Durham. Check.
Even though I did see some. Did you see Caleb Williams and some of those
Caleb
highlights?
Jackson?
Caleb Jackson and some of those highlights. I put them together to be a 1-2 punch.
Yeah,
but apparently he looks lighter.
I would love it. Love it.
So, Durham, Nuss.
Let's go offensive line next.
It's the one I wanted to avoid because I'm not sure.
I know it. Braylon Moore's the center. I feel like that's
Braylon Moore's the center.
To me, I think left tackle is Tyree Adams' job
for sure. Yeah, like that's what it feels like. That's what's,
right.
But that's what worries me. It's like it's just a plug and play at this point. But I haven't seen it. Like we haven't seen any of it yet.
Right.
And so I guess if you have to write in a name, it would be Tyree Adams.
I mean, and he got the start in the bowl game.
Yeah.
And there was no complaints there, in my opinion. Like I didn't have to say his name many times. And then we'll go from left to right. So left guard.
Chester.
I would say Chester.
Center.
Center is Moore. Right guard, right tackle. This is where it gets. To me, I think they want Josh Thompson to be a guard.
Me too.
So I would
be nervous if he was a tackle.
Yes, so I would put Thompson at right guard. And to me, right tackle is probably one of the positions that's got the most guys vying for it. I think Carius Kern has a real opportunity. You know, when you heard Brian Kelly talk about him, about his ability to get in the SEC, and you know he's physically ready day one. I think he's a guy there, along with Weston Davis, not Weston Banks.
Weston Banks. Yep.
Weston Banks is not a real person, but I've heard it so many times.
Dude,
it's in my head every time I say it. Yes.
Yeah.
Weston Davis, Carius Kern, Solomon Thomas, the other freshman.
1 pound fish.
Yep. And then there's one more guy. Why is it slipping
Ori
my
Williams?
brain? Ori Williams is the other one. So, but then you still have a guy like Paul Mabanga who was plug and play at left guard last year.
He started last year.
You know, whenever Dellinger went down, this was your left guard.
That's and it's a fickle mistress to try to bed, because I'm not sure what they're going to do with DJ Chester. Like DJ Chester, as soon as Josh Thompson gets to campus, it feels like you didn't pay him. He's listed on the On3 website as one of your highest valuated NIL players, so it wasn't cheap to get him to come to LSU. And then you have Weston Davis, obviously, that right tackle. We haven't seen it yet. But I do think there's a world where if you see Josh Thompson play right tackle, it's probably not – that wasn't plan A in my mind. Like, I know he's done it, but that's at Northwestern, not in the SEC.
Yeah, no, I agree. John Quav drops his
Because Kerry's
guess in the
turned
chat.
so athletic, like we've seen it,
Yes.
and Cohen Eccles so athletic, we've seen it. It's just a matter of being able to, I guess, develop these guys quickly. But you also saw what happened when you put a DJ Chester in there as a freshman and a Paul Benga in there as a freshman. Like, it's not easy.
No,
and that's
not
why
everybody's Will Campbell.
And I'm
and
not
Emory
trying
Jones.
to like discount Josh Thompson, but you just haven't done it here yet. Like,
Right.
It would be a fool's errand to write him in as like, oh, he can play right tackle at the SEC level.
Yeah, in the SEC. No, it's tough. But to me, this is one of those rooms
Playing
that's-
in the like probably the longest grass in the world.
Yes. Well, and that's part of the reason why it does kind of suck that Thompson's not here yet, because this is a room that you want the guys to be on the field together soon, like so they can build up a chemistry and be used to playing next to one another and make sure that it all works, and there's not a miscommunication or issues there. That's what was so great about the line that you've had the last couple of years was they've played together for so long. They've got experience and continuity together. You don't have that right now. And that's why you want to kind of figure this 5 out relatively soon. So now moving to tight end, I guess, would be the next position. When we're talking about offensive line, we've got running back, quarterback, O-line, tight end. To me, Trey Green is the starter. That's the guy at tight end.
Do you think so?
Yes. I think that's what they want him to be, and they're going to put an emphasis on making that happen.
I think, because I think this is fair to think about out loud. Because I don't see that.
You don't see that they want
They wouldn't
that?
have brought in this many people if they wanted him to be your everyday tight end. They would have used him as a specialty guy.
Well, I think
he's not
they
gonna
will.
Be, he's too. It's such an anomaly to be able to play tight end every down.
I'm not saying he's going to be the every down guy.
I don't think he's good.
But I'm saying when you put out that starting 11, the first 11 that touches the football field,
he's going to have his hand in the dirt.
Trey Green is going to be the tight end. Against Clemson on August 30th, 29th, whatever it is. I believe that Trey will be.
How many
the
times do you think he lines up? I mean, this is where this is on the offense. This is on Atkins. This is on Brian Kelly. This is on Sloan to figure out how to use him and not be predictable, right? That's what they were trying to avoid at some points last year, where it's if he's on the field, is he a tight end or is he a wide receiver? But you had the jack of all trades and Mason Taylor to where it was he could do both, and it was also. If that made you hard to defend. And that's what made you able to put Trey Green out wide. Now, if you have, Bauer Sharp, the only thing we can go off of is his PFF grade, not a great run blocker. Donovan Green coming off of he was very highly rated coming out of high school, ACL tear. Didn't really see it yet. And I don't know what else you can glean on as to who to be a inline blocking tight end if that's what you want to do, but on, like we said. But I would be surprised because LSU does have to have it has an identity crisis at some points,
right?
Where if it's not going to be Nussmeier being able to run the football, then you're going to have to be able to line up and get in these sets where it looks like you're a kind of a power football running team and play off of that at some points. But you don't do that in college anymore.
Yeah,
it's all spread out very wide. So I'm interested to see if they just are Trey wants to put his hand. He showed that he was very willing to do it. For one game, but would give me week 6 when you have after you've gone through 4 games in the SEC and now you have a bye week and it's Alabama and you see their defensive end or you see insert South Carolina.
Dylan Stewart.
I don't want to do this 45 times a game. I'm not I'm a skill guy.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. I see your point and your pushback because it's
and you're gonna have a first time starting left tackle. You're gonna need somebody that's gonna be able to help at some point. These are some of the flaws in LSU.
Who is that right now?
It's Tyjee Hill, Tyree Adams.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. You've seen him do it one game,
right?
And now you have Nussmeier coming back, who's your most important commodity. And what did he have last year? That whenever he was good or great, he had time.
Yes.
And now if he doesn't have that, especially coming off the edge, whether it be left tackle, right tackle, both are being replaced. Like that should be a concern because we're all excited. Like I think we look at all of the flash that came into LSU, what you did in the transfer portal to revamp your defense, revamp your offense in a way because you lost some like key pieces along the road. But you also have like unproven commodities that you're just trying to kind of say, oh yeah, just put Adams at left tackle, it'll be fine. Like you're replacing a top 5 pick. Yeah. Like, and you're replacing another as high as we were on both Emory Jones and Will Campbell last year. Like that's where we should also look at that. It's definitely a deficiency at this point because you can't say that they'll step in and be fine whenever you are so high on what it was going into the year last year of Will Campbell and Emory Jones. Like so, you have to think that that's going to be a step down, and you have to kind of build your offense around that. Kind of coming to like getting its own feet together because you saw what happened when you had DJ Chester play for the first time. Like you've seen what happens when these guys get into the SEC against veteran opponents, that it's not as easy as just saying, oh, I know he's good. Like I know that they're all skilled, but it gets harder.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you have a quarterback that it's all going to fall on him.
Right. And that's what you don't want to happen. And you want as much of the weight off of Nussmeier's shoulders as possible, and that's what makes it tough.
Well, you saw what happened when it was all on his shoulders.
Right. And to me, that's part of the point of what you're looking for going into next season is that you don't have to stress about that. So I do believe that it's going to be a tough conversation and kind of figuring, like a tough task when you're talking about tight end. Like with those guys in that room, you've got I'll say 4 guys: Trey, Donovan Green, Bauer Sharp, J.D. LaFleur. Right, 3 of them are transfer / freshmen. One is essentially a wide receiver that you have at tight end, kind of in the middle. You know, he's kind of a hybrid. Who do you turn to? And that's why, in my mind, they're going to go to Trey because they've obviously pushed for him to get better when it comes to inline blocking. They want him on the field consistently, and the trust is just going to be there more than anywhere else. I don't know who else you can't say Donovan Green can do it because you haven't seen it. I mean, Bauer Sharp, I guess you can say that, but he was
Oklahoma's leading receiver, pass catcher,
and he was He came into college as a quarterback.
Yeah, Southeastern.
Now he's going to be an inline blocker. You know,
that's a real question.
I guess J.D. LaFleur would be the pick, but he was playing high school kids at Sulphur last year. You know, like
big goatee guy.
Yes. You know, I mean, he's the most probably physically imposing from a blocking standpoint, but. You know, are you really going to trust the true freshman again when you have these other guys in the room? That's why, to me, it's going to be Trey on
because I do think a
1.
lot is going to be put on. Like, there's going to be a big focus on it. This is just strictly looking at it like we have 2 different lenses here where we try to evaluate it like without just justly. But I do have a pulse of the fan base because I am one. Like, I don't really run from it. There's going to be a huge impetus put on what they look like being able to run the football this year.
Because of how bad it was last year.
You have to fix one of the 2 things. Like, if you're not going to have Will Campbell and Emory Jones, and Garrett Nussmeier is not going to take off, like he didn't do it last year.
Right.
And so there's going to be somebody saying in the stadium at some point, run the fucking ball.
Yes. That's why you brought in Alex Atkins.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm interested to see how they put all of this together. And they have time. I'm not being negative about it at all.
That's a storyline going into spring.
For sure.
Something to have your eye on.
It's just been so many positive things going in, like of all the things that you brought in, and it's like, well, how does it all work together?
Yes.
Like you have a bunch of very expensive ingredients. Can you cook?
Yeah. No, that was the point I made when I first went on this morning. Was one of the things I wish that I was
Jay
out there.
Johnson can cook.
He's
got a lot of ingredients.
He's got so many ingredients. Like that, I wish I was on the field at practice because, 1, you get to feel the energy and kind of the dynamic that you can only feel by being there in person.
You just miss Coach Davis.
Of course. But 2, like seeing all these new things thrown together, whether it's players, whether it's coaches, whether it's analysts, like there's a lot of new pieces in this puzzle. And that does.
If the water's ready.
No, I mean it'll be.
Good.
But we've got our best guys on it. Christian's out there at
The
practice
water?
today.
Oh.
Nope. We've got our best guys covering practice today. Christian's out there.
What are we doing?
Their first questions were, "Wait, you're sending Christian to the press conference?" I was like, "Yeah, he's not asking any questions. His job is to sit there. You can take a few notes. You can get a few videos. Don't open your mouth."
I don't know if I trust him to even not ask a question. He might.
I don't think he will. I don't think he's got.
No,
that
he
in
wouldn't
him.
raise his hand. He would just say something out loud.
I don't think he's got it in him.
No, I think he's that
Stupid?
Yeah.
Maybe. I guess
Coach,
we'll find out.
He could ask for.
Dating
BK's
advice.
I was about to say he's in a long-standing marriage. Like, how did you do it? Did
that
you
was-
get in trouble after? Did you know you were hooked after 4 dates in a row?
Sabrion said maybe BK will ask Christian about his date, about the Christian Mingle segment.
Christian Mingle.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of storylines going. We didn't finish the offense. We got receivers next.
I know.
Who's your three? Your three receivers.
I saw the Chris Hilton play yesterday.
He's got to be in the three.
Yeah.
If he's healthy, he is in the three.
He needs to shed that label for sure.
He has to. That was a.
But Chris, if he does, I think people are going to be surprised to see him out there every down.
Yeah, because you've never
Ever
seen it.
But you saw it when he does it.
Buddy, it's electrifying.
And Nuss loves him.
Oh my gosh.
It just feels
Because
like
then
such
Nuss-
a back pocket weapon.
Yes, because Nuss can just say,
Go.
screw it, I'm going to sling it.
But Aaron Anderson,
Yep.
and that doesn't help. I'm excited about Barry and Brown, but he just is another part of that toolkit that you kind of already had. It's like when you have.
I don't think he'll be in the first three.
It's like when you get the toolkit from the father-in-law or whatever, where it's like, why do we have so many sockets? Don't these all do the same thing? And it's like, no, they all fit different places. You just have to figure out how to use it.
Right.
But that's Barry and Brown, Xavier Thomas, and Aaron Anderson. Yes. That's what it feels like to me.
And Chris Hilton almost.
No, Chris Hilton's different. I'm talking about guys that operate in space the way that they do. Barry and Brown's they're all
there's smaller guys that are going to be 100%.
You saw Xavier and Thomas step back there for 1 second and run it back.
Yes.
I can do this too. And until they got if you want to put Chris Hilton in this conversation, you can. But him withstanding, until they got Nick Anderson,
right? That's my third.
You were going to what's this offense going to look like? Are they going to go just east and west and it would be dynamic? But you didn't have that big bodied receiver. Then you got Nick Anderson, and everybody was like, okay, cool.
That's to me that would be it would be Aaron Anderson, Nick Anderson, and Chris Hilton.
That sounds great to me.
With Barry and Brown, Xavier and Thomas, Kyle Parker, all getting in on the mix. Jelani Watkins, Destin
down
Hill.
the sideline.
That would be awesome. But yeah, to me, and then
they almost. Not to bring it back to baseball, but it does feel a bit like that in the skill room of how are you going to manage all of this talent and figure out how to get them on the field at the right time? Kyle Parker, you want to see play. Jelani Watkins, you'd love to see play. Aaron Anderson, obviously has established himself as somebody that has to be on the field for 3 downs.
Right.
I think Xavier Thomas is in that mold too, where he didn't get the ball enough.
No, not at all.
And then you look at the receiver, Harlan Berry can be a guy that gets touches.
Yeah.
Caden Durham, Caleb Jackson,
Trey Des
Green. All of these things. That's a good problem to have, but I also don't know how you you divvy it up.
Right. As much as it's awesome to have all that talent, it can get stressful trying to figure out how to make it work. And that's what's going to be on LSU's docket for this upcoming season is make it work.
So those are your 3?
Those are my 3. So my offense is Nuss at quarterback, Durham at running back.
You just penciling in Nuss?
I mean, I don't know. I think Juwan Johnson can really.
They should do a video where all of these throws that are hitting people back shoulder and perfectly in the bucket, and then just cut to Juwan.
That would be awesome.
That's why I don't work there.
Left to right, Tyree Adams, DJ Chester, Braylon Moore, Josh Thompson, Carius Kern. Trey Des at tight end, and my receivers are Aaron Anderson, Nick Anderson, Chris Hilton. That's the offense.
Sito Palmubenga?
Nope.
think that's fair. If you have Cohen Eccles and who's your right guard?
Josh Thompson.
Who's your right tackle?
Carius Kern.
If you have those two on the field at the same time, you could run the toss offense.
Oh, my
Those
gosh.
are your two athletes, two guys that played basketball and are cutting backflips.
Big time.
Like, that's an athletic offensive line, so you should be able to move the football.
Yes.
But, yeah, I don't see
Tight ends.
I'm interested to see if Nick Anderson just gets penciled in like this just because of he didn't obviously didn't play, but
Right.
the year before he kind of had a C.J. Daniels type year where he went
Right.
double-digit touchdowns, over 1,000 yards, and it's like, okay, I want to see it. I think he's going to be more of that mold of what you saw him at LSU as opposed to like a dominant player of like a straight-up one.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
No, it is. It's fair. I just think that the ulterior dynamic he brings is going to give him more of the opportunity.
Right. But
be on the
you
field.
just you didn't even see LSU really utilize the one last year.
Right.
Like
Right.
Kyron Lacey showed up in flashes, and you can say like if he was a true one or not. But that was if we play the X, that's what you are, and
Yes.
that's where Kyron Lacey was, and Nick Anderson's going to be in that spot because you have to be able to mix it around with Chris Hilton, whether it's put him in the slot or put him just on off coverage in different spots to move him around.
Yeah.
But if you're just a straight up one, Nuss spreads the ball around too much for that to have a really impactful go-to guy.
Right.
So far, from what I've seen,
Yeah. From last year's perspective.
like he was completing balls to 12 different guys.
Yeah. No. I mean, he's not one of the guys. He doesn't get lasered in on one receiver because of how
No,
much
'cause
he
God
trusts his
forbid.
arm.
Yeah,
Like I can make any throw to anybody. In his mind, so why would it's not just one guy I need to throw the ball to? Like it would have been nice in that first game against USC for him to get locked
Well, he
in a
did
little
to
bit more
Kyron.
on Kyron Lacey at the start, and
he
in the
shot
second
that.
half,
Well, then he shot that guy on the field.
He did.
He got punished.
He did. He did get punished. But then the starting defense will have to be on a whole nother show because
Oh my God!
that one's going to be quite the conversation.
Does it? Oh, I'm trying to look up.
Well, you're looking up the roster?
No, I was gonna do what he did last year just to see everybody.
Oh, Nussmeier's stats,
And the wide receiver stats.
the wide receiver stats from last season.
All right, here I am. You had
No C.J. Daniels touchdowns. I remember that.
well, they did have one. It got called back.
Yeah.
They transferred.
What you got for
Aaron
me?
Anderson led your team in catches with 61.
Yep.
Kyron Lacey 58. Mason Taylor 55. C.J. Daniels 42. And then Josh Williams with 31.
That's spread around.
Trey Green 13. Chris Hilton 9. I'd imagine that number goes up if God willing.
God, Chris Hilton had 9 catches.
For 243 and 3 touchdowns. Average 40 yards a catch.
That's
It's
unbelievable.
Randy Moss.
That's crazy. I was about to say, I thought he had 4 touchdowns, and they were on 9 catches. That's wild.
That's dangerous.
I'm telling you, a full season.
I would
could
get
be dangerous.
fired if I was an NFL Putnick.
Right.
If I worked for a team pounding the table, be like, I'm telling you.
You have to.
When it's good, it's great.
Because it is. That was the first thing that popped in my head when I
he
saw
had
that
9
video yesterday.
catches. Look at the touchdowns.
Right. When I saw that video put out yesterday of him catching the deep ball, my first thought was, I need this every game.
It can't.
You have.
It feels like it's not going to happen just because it hasn't
It
yet.
hasn't, right.
But if he, I'm telling y'all, what we saw last year, he was dynamic. Not only just the go ball, but all over the football field where he's this is a true wide receiver. And then he never really got – that was unbelievable what happened. And I
never got
I don't
it.
even like talking about it,
Yeah,
dude.
it is. It is.
And also, speaking of dynamic, John Emery won